Welcome to S.H.I.F.T, a safe haven in honor of Lynda, the beloved sister and best friend of your dynamic and inspirational host, Lisa Council. You will experience uplifting and encouraging testimonies of women, men, and teens who have survived and overcome domestic abuse and trauma.
Welcome back to S.H.I.F.T. I tell you, I am so thrilled to be here today. I am so thrilled for our first episode of S.H.I.F.T. as we gear up to start Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And I am so thrilled to be honoring my sister Lynda on today. My sister, my only sister, who I lost 31 years ago to domestic violence. Before we get started, as you all know, I always like to share statistics because I believe that statistics are very important when we're touching on this sensitive topic. So, as we all know, 1 in 4 women are victims of domestic violence. 1 in 7 men are victims of domestic violence. Also, the most dangerous time for battered women is when they decide to leave an abusive relationship. Access to make it 5 times more likely that a partner of domestic violence will be murdered, okay? And in most cases, the 5 times are for female victims. Over 4.5 million women have reported being threatened by an inter-partner with a gun, okay, with a firearm. Your chances of being murdered as a victim of domestic violence decreases by 75% when there is a firearm in the home. Also today, I just want to touch on the first statistic that I shared after giving you the numbers for both men and women being victims. And that is, oftentimes victims are told by family members, by therapists, by clergy, that is imperative that they depart domestic violence situations. And although we know that it is true and that is not healthy for anyone to be in that type of situation, what most don't know is that when you advise a victim to leave a domestic violence situation, the chances of them being murdered increases again by 5%. And if there is a firearm in the house, remember, it increases by 75%. The chances of a victim being murdered increases by 75%. Sadly, my sister was one of the 75%, okay, of victims that have been murdered by an intimate partner, and in her case, her husband. We lost Lynda in July of 1993, and our lives, have been forever changed. But today, I just wanted to share with you some of Lynda's stories about the beautiful individual that she was and still continues to be. This is a picture of my only sister, Lynda. Lynda was the type of individual that when she walked in the room, she brightened up everyone's day. She had a smile that was contagious. She was a very quiet individual. But when she spoke with power. She was very smart. In school, she was always a scholar. In high school, she was a track star. I remember my sister was 5 years older than me. So I remember waiting after school for her for track practice or to go to her track meets. She was beautiful inside and out.
You are watching S.H.I.F.T with Lisa Council. Remember, self-healing ignites flourishing transformation. Now, back to the show.
My family and I are now going on to embark on a new journey in our lives as my sister's husband was granted a compassionate release this year. And as of September the 13th, 2024, after committing a heinous crime against his wife, shooting her in the head 4 times at close range, stabbing her over 30 times, crushing her skull, and leaving her body in their storage bin where they live to bleed to death and take her last breath. You know, this journey has been very hard for us as we have spent the past 31 years fighting for justice for Lynda, making certain that we keep her legacy and her memory alive, and just making certain that everyone knows the type of beautiful individual that she was. So now we embark on a journey of moving forward and trying to figure out what that looks like for each of us. And it hasn't been easy. I must admit that to each of you. It has not been easy. But what I do want to say is that from the bottom of my heart, I am so grateful and I'm thankful for each of you who have been a part of the S.H.I.F.T family and who has been there with me on this journey for the past 10 years. I can't believe we're coming up on 10 years. I've met friends along the way. I have established friendships and family with people that I never knew. I have built such beautiful bonds. I have had people in my corner to just ensure me that I have inspired them in the impact that I've had on their lives. But more importantly, I wanted to share with each of you today the impact that you have had on my life and the inspiration and the encouragement that you have given me to keep pushing forward has just lifted me up and pulled me up by my bootlaces and assured me that I must keep going. When we found out that my sister's husband had been granted a compassionate release, we had just had that, I believe, the 7th or 8th parole hearing, and he was denied parole. So within a 2-week span, we went from parole being denied to a compassionate release being granted. And you know, I've been trying to figure out how does life look for me as well as for my family after this. But you know what? God has assured me that just as he's been with us for the past 31 years, he will continue to be with us. We will continue to thrive. We will continue to fight for all that are victims as well as survivors of domestic violence. We will continue to go on. We will continue to be stronger and more resilient than ever. We will continue to make certain that Lynda's legacy is alive and living. We will continue to use our voices when it comes to fighting the fight against domestic violence. We will continue. We will not stop. There was a time when I wanted to throw in the towel. I just wanted to throw it all the way because I didn't quite know how life would look for me if we would ever get to this day. But I assure you that with everything in me, I will continue. I will continue to be that voice for the voiceless. I will continue to ensure and encourage and try to have as much as an impact that I can on others who feel like they have lost their voice and cannot get it back, to assure them that you can get your voice back and you will get your voice back. I will continue to be the voice for Anana. I will continue to be the voice for Deborah. I will continue to be the voice for Devanya. I will continue to be the voice for Daphne. I will continue to be the voice for my only sister, Lynda. I will continue to be the voice for those that I do not know that have lost their lives to domestic violence. We will not end. We will not just share our voices during the month of October. We will continue to share our voices 24/7 because domestic violence does not exist only during the month of October. It is 24/7, 365 days per year. I will continue to put up the good fight. I will continue to also lean on you all for strength. I will continue to also be your strength when you feel like that you are falling and you can't get up. I will be right there to pick you up so that we can lead in ending this epidemic. It must stop. It must end. However, we must all know that domestic violence cannot end if we don't use our voices, if we don't put up the good fight, not the bad fight. But more importantly, we must educate when it comes to the strongholds of domestic violence. We must educate in order to eradicate. We all know that domestic violence exists, but what do we do to end it? It doesn't end by us merely sharing statistics. It doesn't end by us merely sharing our stories and testimonies. We must educate. We must put pressure on our judicial system, on our government, on our city official and leaders to make change. We must be the change forces, the change agents, the advocates. And more importantly, with that, we must stand together in unison to eradicate domestic violence. Domestic violence destroys families. I have two nieces who lost their mother. Not only did they lose their mother, they also lost a father. My parents lost a daughter. I lost a sister. After losing my sister, my only brother committed suicide because he could not deal with the death of my sister. He blamed himself. So I am here as the only living child of my parents. And as long as I am here, I will continue to put up the good fight. The good fight, not the bad fight, the good fight. And as we embark on this new journey in our lives, I am asking you to walk with us, walk beside us, as we continue to keep Lynda's legacy and memory alive. I am also very ecstatic and excited about this season of Shift. We will continue to have some dynamic guests and speakers. I promised that I would do more lives on social media, which you all know that makes me uncomfortable. So I'm coming out of my comfort zone, you all. And there will also be times when I will have our guests to interview me so that you can get to know more about me and you can get to know more about Lynda as I continue to share her story. There's so many bits and pieces to share. I would also be using this season to touch on the grief process that we need to talk about, as well as talk about the judicial process, how it looks for families when we're going up against those who have taken our loved ones, how the whole going through the parole process works, how we have just gone through the compassionate release hearing works, to just give you insight and to educate you, but to more importantly, let you know that you're not in this alone. We are in this together. And in closing, I just want to say that if anyone that you know is a victim of domestic violence, they can reach out to me at any time. I can point them in the direction that they need to go in secret. And they can also reach out to the domestic violence hotline at 1-800-799-7233, or they can text 88788. And remember, everyone, to shift. Peace and love.
What are you doing to heal? Remember, your healing is imperative. Healing renews, soothes, and makes you whole. Shift. See you right here next time.